Alright, well, welcome to Scum and Villainy. I shouldn't say episode 1, but I guess it does, so we'll count it as that. But it's episode
Episode
0.
0?
Yeah, what it should be. Um, I'll get that changed probably never. So this is 1. Our session 1 is session 0. That's how messed up we are. Scum and Villainy. So this game series will be entitled Accounts of the Night Beast. And the group is going to work through the process of creating characters and creating their ship, creating their backgrounds, throwing in some knives for me to play with, and basically kind of just building a narrative for us to kind of work off of. Earlier, in our Discord, the group and I determined which type of ship we were wanting to kind of look at, and the type of ship that the group agreed upon is a Cerberus, which is focused mainly on kind of bounty hunting. Um, that said, we have a couple of people who kind of idyllically have an idea of what they want to do with the characters and have kind of worked at that. We should be able to, even if square peg, round hole, it into the situation. I don't see a problem with that. Yeah, that said, let me find the page that I lost, and you can discuss kind of amongst yourselves what you're planning in your head, just narratively, what you kind of want to do, what kind of character you're wanting to add to the narrative. The best way to kind of think of it is we're effectively making like a sci-fi show. And I kind of gave you the two main sources of my inspiration. Other sources of inspiration will draw upon that, but primarily in my head, it's going to be very grounded, similar to Firefly or the Alien series. But yeah, discuss amongst yourselves while I try to find that page.
I just
Matt,
feel it.
why don't you? Oh, sorry. I was just gonna say, Matt, why don't you start? Because you have a more defined version of what you're going for than I think the rest of us.
Yeah, sure. So, let me just actually launch into the game because I have a bunch of stuff in my character.
I have a little idea.
Yeah, so I am
Yeah.
doing a pilot. Once I get my character sheet up, I can actually say the name. But I'm actually, I there's no great way to necessarily do this without spoiling some of the stuff of Tim's. But basically, me and Tim are doing twin brothers. He's the mechanic, I'm the pilot. Background is basically we come from the colonies. We I ended up basically like working for like a syndicate somewhere, kind of got in a little bit of trouble because of my gambling problem. Tim sort of saved my butt getting me out of the, like getting a ship and getting us out of there. He repairs, I fly. We have a family back that we just sort of like keep track of, parents, sister. We're kind of always at each other's throats, basically, but you know, if anyone tries to mess with either one of us, we'll deck them. That's pretty much what we've got so far. Why is Roll20 taking forever to load tonight? Oh, there we go.
And you said you're humans from the colonies, right?
We're humans from the colonies, yeah. And my character is not, the character sheet is not loading in properly. There we go. My character's Flynn Tarkin. Tim's character's name is Quinn Tarkin.
Are you a grandma?
Hmm?
Are you a grandma?
No. He just thought it was a cool name.
It is a cool name. Okay. So that said, the main thing I want to kind of focus on is in the customization. The real first step is that ship. Characters aside, that's fine, but obviously your character is going to fluctuate and alter, despite your base concept, based on not only the other players but also on the ship that's been chosen. So we're not going to mesh those two yet, but we will have fun doing that. The ship you've selected is the Cerberus, which is focused on extraction. You find people, you find items, you claim bounties. Now, the way I've kind of thought of this kind of intersplicing is it'll tap into Star Dancer territory when the items that you're acquiring might have questionable ownerships, and you might fall into Fire Drake territory when it comes to individuals you're seeking to extract. So, keeping that in mind, the ship won't shift. I do have ideas as to what the story will kind of switch to if you do elect to change ships and how that'll work. But as long as you're in the ship that we've elected, and whatever you name it, that's your choices there. Whatever it comes to be called. The main focus will be on getting people, or finding things. You're basically Boba Fett's. But yeah, on page 112 is where it kind of outlines crew creation and ships and crews. And that's what we're looking at right now. So if you have the Scum and Villainy book, that's what you want to be opened up to.
What page?
112. And you'll note that once you've chosen, grab the appropriate ship sheet for that crew type, which I will get you in a bit, and record, or if someone wants to just take notes, that's fine too. I don't know.
Pilot.
Okay. Pilot. Matt, taking notes. Your ship begins with 2 cred in the hold. Those represent the remaining bit of the crew's savings from adventurers and the acquisition of the ship beforehand. You're going to use those during character creation more than likely. Now, when I say 1 cred, you're probably in your head like, well, that's nothing. 1 cred is basically enough to survive for like a month. Like, most people don't make more than a couple cred, like a year. You know, it's not a currency level that you're going to imagine transferring over well to any other game or even real life.
It's like Bitcoin.
Sort of, I guess. Basically, the cred itself has like an amount in it. It's 1 cred is basically like an allotment. It's more of like a salary or sum. But that said, you have 2 of them. Now, as a group, obviously without 2 of your members, and we'll discuss that later. You want to elect all of reputation. Since this group has the kind of deciding vote anyways, if you all come to an agreement, great. You win the vote anyway, so the other 2 have no choice but to deal with what you've elected. Democracy at work. When you're electing a reputation, you have the following kind of base options. Are you ambitious? Are you brutal? Daring? Honorable? Professional? Savvy? Strange? Or subtle? So this is how most people will see you as a whole. And yeah, when you earn experience to bolster your reputation, this is going to kind of cement this kind of idea to the rest of the universe. And you might get gigs based on who you are. If you're a professional group of individuals, you're bound to get people who are more professional coming to find you. If you're good.
Against type, react against type, does that give us less XP from our?
No, I wouldn't say so. It's if you're acting as your character and you're just doing it, like let's say Matt is a individual who can be comical. In games we've seen in the past, he's one to step on people's food and jump into the ocean, or cast crazy spells at seemingly inappropriate times. But let's say for some reason this group elects to go with professional. But Matt is occasionally not on the gig, isn't exactly 100% super serious man. Then that's fine. What you're forming here is kind of how do people view you outside of the interior of the crew. Of course, people inside the crew are not going to always think everyone's like super serious man if you were to go professional. or even strange, for that matter. And maybe the reason they think you're strange is just because the way you dress or the way you act around
Or
people
you
socially.
just take jobs that are just a bit odd.
Yeah, you take the weird gigs. It could be related to that too. So if you take ambitious jobs, then you're going to be seen as people who are taking like big gigs and trying to do big things. If you're subtle, then you're trying to stay off the grid for some reason, and that could be narrative. Like maybe you as someone who wants to play a mystic, maybe the reason why you're staying subtle is because you just want to do enough to survive because maybe someone's out to find you. Just depends on what you want to do. So think about that. That's kind of the main focus, reputation-wise, is kind of one of the main things you want to do here in the beginning. And then you're going to want to customize your ship. Now, when it comes to the game itself, it doesn't really focus on battle maps, visual aids, and stuff like that. Me, I'm a slave to, older games that did focus very much on visual aids and maps. So I do have the option to purchase different, spaceship maps that we can utilize. I have already gotten one that I think kind of fits with Cerberus in my head, and I'll go ahead and bring up a picture of that on there. But yeah, does anybody have any ideas as to just generally what the ship looks like and kind of things that you want to have in the ship? Ship systems you have that are in there, you have engines, hull, comms, and weapons. And you choose two you choose two of those to improve. And then you can also improve your crew quality. It'll cost 2 cred if you want to do that. You can see here there are also options to pay off optimization of your ship or to create narrative beats because of how you respond to purchasing things on page 113.
Guys, we could have a crew pet. We could have an alien pet.
Gosh, that would be awesome. I actually like that idea.
17.
Also, just one thing I'm thinking for customizing the ship, since we do have our own mechanic, part of me is thinking one of the things that would make sense to upgrade both story-wise and probably utility-wise is actually engines.
I think we need some really bitchin' spoilers.
Kind of looks like you already have them if we go with this. Got those fins in the back. It's pretty dope. But that's the image I was able to kind of find on the interwebs. But
I
yeah,
like it.
Oh, I think I would be interested in maybe a daring reputation.
I was thinking like ambitious or daring. I'm willing to go with daring on anything.
So, I have a proposition, because we don't have to pick from that list, correct, John?
you do have to pick from that list.
Oh, because it says
Well,
choose from one
you
of the lists
could-
on your right, or
you-
create your own.
You could create your own. Yeah, that's fine. I would rather
Um,
your own not be hybrids of ones that are present.
No, so what I was thinking is, effective. Our reputation is we get the job done. It's not always by the book. It's not always, the way that it was laid out or, the way that people think we do it. But, you give us a job, we get that job
We're
done.
closers.
You know what I mean?
Efficient.
That's, yeah,
Okay.
exactly. That was kind of my thought. Is we're not, the crew that you call to do a simple task. We're the crew that you call because we're gonna close. You know what I mean? We're gonna deliver fucking results. And it's not weird. It's not because we're not always gonna pick the weird jobs.
Sure.
We're the guys you call because
It's gonna get done.
Right.
gotta
Who are you
get
gonna
18.
call?
Let's
Ghostbusters.
get an 18.
That's kind of what I was thinking. Yeah, an A-team kind of vibe. Exactly, fucking Andy.
Love it.
We're the guys that you call because this thing needs to get done.
So,
Or
I love this right now because that would definitely have to make Kevin be a Baracus, so I think that should be a spirit animal.
So wait a second. You're saying that Kevin hates flying?
And goes to sleep if you feed him milk.
And
Well-
he sings raps about his mother.
I pity the fool. That said, yeah, I mean,
Get behind that.
it's-
I like it.
And
What do you think,
Kevin?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay, so efficient as a reputation. So yeah, focusing back on customizing your ship. Like I said, each ship starts with pre-selected ship systems, which would be on the ship's sheet, and that's in this book somewhere. I'm gonna see if I can't pull it up on Roll20. If not, I'll be annoyed. We'll see. But yeah, looking at that section of it, and thinking about your oh, here we go. Cool. In players' journals, all players can be edited by all players. Mebrius Efu is what the random name generator gave you today.
Love it.
Okay, that works.
So what do we want to do with this ship? So looking at the beginning section, if you go to first, you want to find the Cerberus stats in the book. And then you want to...
Page 130.
Yeah, I'm looking at it now.
Cool. And then you'll want to basically fill in the ship card that I've given you. And anyone can do that. If you want to ask someone to be designated person that does it, then have them do that.
I've got control of it for right now. I put in Cerberus and it filled in a decent amount of details, so we just need to
Okay.
pick out a few things. And then efficient is our reputation.
Nice.
Okay. And then, yeah, like I said, there's you can choose 2 additional ship systems beyond what is outlined on the just static sheet for the ship, and upgrade them. And like I said, that's engines, hull, comms, and weapons. And then crew quality, you can improve, but it'll cost you 2 cred, and you'll owe the folks that helped you improve it. A higher crew quality refers to the quality of gear and equipment of the crew. You're able to take on more powerful factions on equal footing, and can therefore handle harder jobs more easily. Not to mention your crew will just have nicer stuff. So decide what you want to improve, either engine, hull, comms, and weapons. Choose 2 of those. And I'll tell you about the faction that helped you get those improvements. And then you're going to tell me what you do in response. You either pay them, owe them, or stiff them.
So speed, defense, or offense.
Yeah, just to say also, right now, comms are at 2, engines at 1, weapons at 1, hull is at nothing. So, I think
because
Go ahead, Kevin.
I was gonna say because of our pet, maybe we should get hold of at least 1 or something.
To protect.
I was thinking our pet could be like this alien behind me.
Huh.
Very damaging to the hull of a ship. And he occasionally eats crew members, but
It's a misconception.
I mean, a bigger hull means possibly bigger jobs. You know what I mean? Like if we need to get an actual giant item or something off somewhere.
Real quick though, correction. That's a misconception actually.
Okay.
Kevin, the Xenomorph XX121 doesn't actually eat human flesh. It actually names or wounds humans and then drags them back to a place to either egg-morph them or to allow them to be an incubating service for future aliens.
John,
Okay,
your
fair.
nerd boner is
Well,
showing.
actually,
yeah, but
Well, actually,
sometimes, and that kills you. Right in the head,
Although,
sometimes.
I
Your
will-
head explodes.
I will admit, I don't know much about the proto-alien or whatever it is from Covenant, so that's one you got there behind you, so maybe it's different.
well, I've got a question for the hull. Is that talking about space, or is that talking about the exterior of the ship and the?
Hull is exterior, it's basically defense.
right, that's what I thought.
No, but real talk, I do think hull's important, but I like the speed of I like engines and stuff too to get going fast. Because I don't think we're going to be doing a lot of ship-to-ship combat or anything like that.
Well,
And
yeah, as,
Okay.
Matt already said we have
God,
a
I was like, okay, that's an assumption you're making.
okay with better engines.
Well, if we're fast, we don't have to fight anybody, right? We just run away.
Sure.
Or I think we should
heroically
have
run
one in.
away,
How many?
Braves
We
of
have, how
Robin.
many ticks do we get?
You get
Matt?
2 ticks.
Yeah, we can improve 2 things.
You start
Hull
with
and engine.
0 hull, 1 in comms and weapons, and 2 in engines, right?
No, 2 in comms, 1 in engines and weapons.
Got it.
I would put one in hull and one in engine. That's just.
Yeah,
I'm on board with that, 100%.
Yeah, I like
Okay.
that.
Okay.
All right, improvements added.
So if I've got it right, that would be engines at a 2, hull at a 1, comms at a 2, and weapons at a 1.
Yep.
Correct.
Cool. So the corporation that you have elected to acquire stuff from early on is a colony corporation that's basically moving out to the Dracian system known as Villainy Incorporated. Villainy is known for a number of different articles. Mainly, they are connected with a faction known as shit. 1 second. Gotta go on my notes.
Is the stuff that you made up?
So Villainy is a fake corporation that I made, but it's based off of. It should be obvious what it's based off of. If you
Yeah.
don't get it, that's fine. That's even better for me because
I
you.
wanna
Won't...
It's
see
from
the-
Evil Dead, right?
It's from Evil Dead. Great film.
Yeah.
I'm not familiar.
It's fine.
God.
No worries. Villainy is connected with the. It's a cult. What's the name of it? Hold on. Cogito? Is Cogito the place that they do it?
Wu-Tan Clan.
Villainy. Let's see. Sorry, hold on. The name of the group is Yaru. The Yaru. The Yaru are a known group or guild that's part of the hegemony that is focused on cloning. Clones that are made by the Yaru are actually temporary. They don't last a long time, and they're very noticeably clones. There's just nature to them, which I haven't decided on yet. Clones are typically seen by most people, specifically in the hegemony, as gross and weird. But yeah, Villaini's kind of tethered to the Yaru in ways that are pretty well known, but they deal in mechanical and exploration, and they are very keen on cataloging bioforms. And Xenos. So, do you want to pay them off, owe them one, or stiff them?
I like the owe them one.
I mean, I'm fine with either paying them off or owing them one. I would like to say my character would probably want to stiff them, but Tim's character would probably want to either pay them off or owe them one.
So
Okay.
if we owe them one, that could lead to a cool job.
Okay, so go with the Tim. Like, imagine he's
Yeah.
sitting here. He votes what? You say pay him off or owe them one. Pick one.
I'm gonna say he'd probably go with owe them one.
And you say stiff them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. Andy.
Owe them one.
Okay. Kevin.
That own one sounds good.
All right. Well, it looks like the majority of this group's already there. Are you going with that,
Sounds
Zach?
like a decision.
Okay. Owe them one.
I think Zach's fine with that. Yeah.
So, you gain +1 status with Villainy Incorporated, so notate that. And yeah, great. Now, choose a special ability. Choose one of the special abilities listed on your ship.
So this is like character generation, where you're only choosing one from that list, right?
Yeah, but this is for your ship, so you're deciding it as a group. Now, of course, you probably want to give some kind of leeway towards the pilot, but at the same time, the engineer is also part of the ship. The muscle is also part of the ship. The mystic is also part of the ship. Everyone's part of the ship, so I mean, this is your home for the entirety of the series. So you want to focus on what's going to be good for the ship as a whole, not just one specific role at it. Muted.
This was the special abilities you said, right?
Correct. For the ship.
All right. What page is that on for?
132.
Yeah.
Interesting. Play both sides is kind of cool.
I was just looking at the same goddamn thing, Andy.
Like, it could just lead to fun stuff.
I agree, and stuff further down the road as well. I don't hate license. There's probably a reason why they put that first on the list. But like, play both sides seems way more interesting to me.
So ships can't typically carry particle weapons, John?
I don't believe so, no. I think it's mainly ships that would be selectable. Can't. Larger ships could.
This is an upgrade to that element of the ship. Okay.
Correct.
I think it'll also help us narratively when we're doing stuff, like to be able to flash like fucking licenses. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Can you
Like our characters will be like, we're bounty hunters. That's why we're here anyway.
Right.
You know?
can you explain to us what
Basically.
like a firefight in space would look like? What kind of weapon
So-
would you use, and how is like a particle weapon helpful?
So, based on what I've been able to kind of muster, watching it from flavor-wise, it's very much you are deciding what you are doing and kind of electing to do the thing, selecting one of the actions that are available to you, rolling those after I tell you how that's going to be rolled, and you're also deciding whether or not you want to push yourself, expend gambits, or use any other types of resources you have that augment your dice. And ultimately, to kind of succeed at the thing that you want to do, all you need to do is roll a 6 on however many dice that you're rolling. So you don't add all those dice together, you just need 1 6 on the number of dice that you're rolling. If you don't get a 6, then you don't just succeed. If you get a 4 or 5, you kind of succeed, so it'll be like a success but with a bad thing happening. And then, failures are obviously down the row. So when it comes to the particle weapon, I would say look it up in the book and find out exactly what it specifically says it does, dice-wise, or combat-wise.
Where are the rollable areas on that sheet?
What's that?
I'm looking at the sheet and I'm looking for the places where you'd roll. I know that like on the character sheet, there are the different abilities.
Yeah, so the ship's never going to roll. It's not a thing that rolls, I don't think. But
So the pilot would. So like if we're trying to fire at something, what would was there like a gunner?
I just killed your engines, by the way, on your ship. Can you fix that, please?
Yeah, sure.
So yeah, you would basically have the person who's dealing with whatever article of the ship roll, and they would actually choose an action to roll with when you're engaged in a job. And when if you're wanting to fight something, yeah, that would be that. But there are other ones that could be utilized too. The list of actions is not in front of my face, and I am a noob. So I couldn't tell you exactly which, but you can finesse it to do other things.
You've answered my question. I got it.
Yeah. Okay. So, anybody have an idea of what's special? I heard license was one that somebody had said.
Yeah, license and
License
playing
and
both
play
sides
both
are the two.
sides are the two we're kind of like thrown out for the group. I don't know if anyone else has a third one that they're floating, but I think that's where Andy and I both am.
Any ideas, Kevin? You wanna
Maybe
make sure we
Matt,
get your
too.
voice in here?
So,
Yeah, Kevin.
I was just thinking about the pirates actually.
well, to kind of put it in concept, I would say if you're looking at these two things from kind of a narrative beat, and you want a movie or piece of media to kind of translate as to what these two abilities would basically be, to help you kind of imagine what they are, license would probably lean more towards like a Mandalorian. He works with the guild. He gets the contracts from a person at a specific location. He is a licensed acquirer of people, and he goes and he does jobs that are sanctioned by this other body. This means that you would basically be in some form of guild that is at least looked at in, a not hostile way by the hegemony and probably by other factions. Whereas the play both sides kind of mentality, you're actually kind of a bit more like Yojimbo, if you're familiar with the movie Yojimbo. Or what was the translated Clint Eastwood movie that was basically a ripoff of that? I can't remember. Was it Fistful of Dollars that was Yojimbo?
Yeah.
It was one of those. But anyways, basically, you're coming into town and you're not working for anybody, and you're basically, able to work multiple gigs. Yeah. Make them.
Yeah.
You're,
I guess there are drawbacks and benefits to
Yeah.
each one of those.
you're
I mean,
able to-
looking at both of them, like nothing really stands out to me. Looking to both of them, part of me likes the playing both sides a little bit more, but also part of me is thinking like the license might play into the efficiency sort of reputation we're going for, because playing both sides, I mean, there might be some efficiency in there, but at the same time, it might impact reputation some if we do end up letting some of the bounties
loaded
for
Loaded
basic.
for Bear is pretty cool if you want to be a bit more
It
up
is.
armored and are planning on doing more kind of engagements and being more kind of like a shock group than just a group that's
I mean, I guess the other one that could also make sense too is with the snatch and grab using deception, infiltration, or social plans to execute a
plus one
kidnapping.
dice to your engagement rolls. Yeah, that's
Right.
and that's huge. I mean, one additional dice means one additional 1 in 6 chance to get a 6. It's not bad. And I mean, yeah, what is your crew like? So do you want to be like by the law? Do you want to cross your I's? Do you want to dot your T's? Do you want to be stealthy, kind of under the radar, handling the job in a quiet, finessed way that's efficient? Do you want to be the kind of group that's known to kind of bust into a situation and handle it with, high quality gear? Or are you wanting to be, someone who kind of lets people out? And,
Do you think
well,
maybe we can talk more about our character concepts, and maybe that'll help us figure that out, or no?
well, this should help you define your character concept. So if you're thinking about that simultaneously, kind of use that idea as well.
Uh-huh.
I mean, honestly, I'm going to put my vote in either for snatch and grab or loaded for bear.
Okay.
I do kind of. I think either of them, I can play with, and I think either of them Tim could play with.
And they go with
Our
efficient.
characters set up. Yeah.
Okay.
Hearing you explain it a little bit differently, I'm more on board with snatch and grab now.
Okay. Yeah, and that's
I like licensed just because the ability to carry a gun where guns are not always welcome is
So-
huge.
Yeah, I'm wondering, Zach, if your character or Dan's character could be more social, like more of a face, almost like zigzaggy. That would be cool for that snatch and grab. That's about, because I don't know if, the muscle or the pilot or the fix-it guy or whatever is going to be like super social like that. I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah, we still haven't heard from good old Dan.
nothing.
That is unfortunate. I have a couple of different ideas that I'm floating between, but I even if we did deception or even the infiltration, you know what I mean? Like,
Right.
we don't need to be socially adept to do an infiltration. That's sneaking with an extra
Yeah, so
key,
my
you know what I
character's
mean?
going to be pretty good at sneaking around.
Yeah, if we go the sneak route, snatch and grab is not a bad choice. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm for
Okay.
that. That's fine.
Kevin, you around?
Yeah, snatch and grab sounds good.
Okay. Snatch and grab, write it down.
All right. We got that one set up.
Fuck yeah.
Alright, so we are on to the next bit, upgrades. So in addition to the upgrades each ship comes with just in general, You as a group also get to choose 2 additional upgrades. So feel free to select 2 upgrades for the ship. An upgrade is a valuable asset or system module that helps the crew in some way, such as an afterburner module or a shuttle. Each ship starts with pre-selected upgrades that are well suited for that crew, such as the galley for the Star Dancer or the brig for the Cerberus, which you have on that map. So great. So after you assign your 2 upgrades, I will tell you about 2 factions impacted by your choices. So that said, let's focus on those upgrades and see which ones you choose. Ship modules, page 118, I believe, is
The upgrades are on 131.
131.
Well, I saw some ship. Hold on a second. 131. I see the ones 117. What's on 131?
131 is Cerberus crew
Okay.
/ SIP upgrade
Gotcha.
specifically.
Oh, and then the other one would be just general.
Just general
So
upgrades.
do
Yep.
you get how many of each?
So you get 2 total.
You can choose
I. Go ahead.
No, I'm just trying to clarify. We could choose 2 from any of those lists.
Correct. And we're looking at ship upgrades right now, I think.
Right.
So stun weapons is an upgrade for the Cerberus specifically. Auxiliary armor is, or armory rather, is one that's just a general auxiliary module. And I believe the Cerberus itself has ones that are preset, specifically the brig. I don't know if it has any of these other standard modules already assigned to it.
I don't know. I really like the concept of having our own like personal vehicles.
Yeah, I was thinking that would be a cool thing to get potentially.
You know, just we're like gonna spend the whole episode just racing each other, right?
Goddamn right we are.
I'd totally be down for that.
Which one was that?
Watch me lose somehow.
Is that like our own personal Segway or something?
So it just says a sleek single-seater craft that can fold up tight enough to fit into a reasonable parking space.
So I've actually already pre-designated what the shuttle will be, and I will show you that. Hold on.
No.
It is a little bit bigger than a single seater.
Well, there's a difference between the shuttle and the personal.
Oh,
This is a few.
These,
perhaps,
yeah, these
Yeah,
are just
these are
these
like-
are basically like we have our own hover cycles. Or
I
something.
kind
hover
of yeah,
bike.
like almost like speeder bikes in.
oh,
Star
okay.
Wars.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I got my wires crossed. Yeah, I
Yeah,
gotcha.
These are that's kind of what I'm imagining. These are is like each one of us has our own fucking speeder bike that like once
Right.
we get down on planet we can all roll out in whatever vehicle like all on our own. I'm literally picturing speeder bikes because I'm an asshole like that, but that's
I mean, that's basically what I was thinking of too.
cool.
Not just you.
It's a single-seater personal craft that cannot
Pers-
carry.
well, personal
large-
vehicles, if you read into it, it costs 2 upgrades to unlock instead of 1.
Really?
Yeah.
You're right.
So that would take both of our.
That would take
tips for
both
that.
of our upgrades.
That's all right.
correct.
That's right.
Maybe it would be cool to have like stun settings on our blaster, so that would be kind of cool.
Yeah, it's also can we get these things at later dates? Like we don't
Yeah.
need to start with all of these things. You know what I mean? Like that could also be something we like work towards
Yeah, so
too.
to acquire a new one, purchasing wise, it costs and credits 3 times the current system quality, or 6 cred per box for an auxiliary module or crew / ship gear. If the module is an illegal module, that require answers about how you're acquiring them first before installing them aboard your ship.
So you had mentioned earlier in the chat. So we don't actually have a brig. We'd have to use our.
No, I think the Cerberus comes with a brig built in. That's
Yep.
what you were saying.
So the Cerberus, if you look at the Cerberus character sheet inside the book, which I'm already tabbed through a couple of different ones, so someone else has to go there.
Yeah.
Right, page 130. Starting upgrades, auxiliary brig, training, prowess.
Right.
So we automatically come with a brig because
And-
the job of the Cerberus is bounty hunting.
You said what was the other one?
It's for training and it says prowess,
Okay.
which should be in the sheet already because I put in Cerberus.
Yeah.
Yeah, crew training prowess.
It's not
There's
selected
insight,
there.
prowess, resolve.
And personal.
Yeah.
I think if we get smooth criminals, we can actually do moonwalking like Michael Jackson.
On the hull of the ship. Yeah, that's legal.
Like the xenomorph behind me.
So, I mean, kind of taking that into account, I mean, looking at the different options, there are quite a few. You're asking yourself, what's the point of weapon modules, etc. So, coherence cannons basically are super deadly and very illegal. Particle cannons are kind of focus forward kind of weaponry that kind of are particle accelerant weaponry. Missiles are a different kind of weapon. Grappling hooks obviously have a very tangible kind of idea as to what they do, and mining drills obviously have a very tangible kind of idea as to what they do. That said, like, these weapons serve the narrative. Like, don't think of them as like, oh, it's going to do X damage. I mean, it probably has that somewhere in here towards hull, but like, think more of it as a, what can we do with a grappling hook? What could missiles be used for? Like, these are not legal weaponry. The only legal weapons on here are grappling hooks and mining drills. Everything else is kind of off the table. So, if those are things that you're thinking about, then great. But, yeah. What upgrades?
Yeah. Also, if we're if we do want some sort of land transportation, but not to spend two, there is like a Land Rover for a ship upgrade.
I was looking at that as well. I don't hate the stun weapons choice. I think that could come in handy in a lot of very different situations.
Where's the shuttle module? I didn't see that.
So the shuttle module is in the ship upgrades on page 117.
Yes.
Okay, got it. And the reason why that could be beneficial is 1 point, and it can be used in space. It can also be used to land.
So we don't have to bring our whole ship down to the...
Right.
I mean, the Cerberus is able to land, but we don't have to. It is an advantage there.
Right. It also allows you to split up if you need to. Like, think of it in a Firefly mentality. And, I mean, it could technically be used similarly.
Or even in a Star Trek mentality.
Is this
Yeah.
the kind of like universe where you need to ask for landing permission, or are ships just coming and going all the time?
Depends on what planet you're going to.
Yeah, I can imagine it would, like, if like a more uptight planet, like one of the ones that's got the what's the bureaucracy called
Hegemony.
here? Yeah, one that's got the hegemony here would probably be more like, do you have clearance to land? And one, like, I'm thinking like, right now I am literally thinking of Firefly, the difference between like the central planets and the outer planets.
Correct.
I doubt the outer planets care. Central planets, you need to get permission.
Is it hegemony or hegemony?
Both. I don't know. I don't know how to pronounce
Okay.
words. Let's.
I figured we would figure it out as a group.
I mean, I pronounce it hegemony, but that's just,
Okay.
And there's hegemon, and then there's hegemonic.
I pronounce it assholes.
Alright, well, I figured I would ask.
Hegemony,
It's hegemony.
according to Google pronunciation.
Okay, Google pronunciation.
Hegemony.
That's correct.
Great, learning. What was I saying? Was I saying it wrong? I was.
It doesn't
Hegemony.
Hegemony.
matter.
Gemini. Game's canceled. No.
I legitimately didn't know. Like, that was a real people question.
Me neither. I that's why I searched. The
It's good to
Hegemony
ask
is the
because-
process of keeping order.
hegemony.
Hegemony is the process of keeping order.
So they are in the sector that you'll be playing in primarily. They only have one planet that they have officiated as kind of their world in the Dracian system, or sector rather. and that's this planet known as Parias. Parias is the second planet in the Dracia system, so the second planet out from the Dracia star. And I'll go ahead and pull us back to that system map there, which you can see has 2 moons and is close, relatively close to the star, but within its Goldilocks zone. But yeah, that's the only planet that's really inhabited by them here. In the Procyon sector, which is like the suggested sector in the book, they're all over the place. But the system of Breck is kind of like the farthest out system for Procyon, and there's a jump gate from Breck to Dracia. Dracia, you'll see, has 2 jump gates in its system, not sector. And I know that's probably going to be aggravating, but it's the way I imagined they would name it. So the Dracia sector is 3 systems. It is Dracia sector, or Dracia system, Dracia, or Adlat's system, and the Umbra system. And as you can see, there is a connection to backwards towards the core, which would be through Procyon and back. And then there's one that's heading further out towards Adlat and out towards Umbra. And if you read any of the pretext that I had mentioned, basically you're on a far-reaching edge of space, and there's kind of a point in pretty much any sky that you've ever been on out in this sector, where it's basically complete blackness, like there are no stars even in the clearest of nights, and there's just kind of one kind of floating dark blue orb out there in that weird kind of iris of darkness, and that is known as the Umbra. And Adlat then moves to Umbra, and the people known as the my notes are great. Huron have come from that place beyond the darkness, escaping a people known as the Hesh, who are a totalitarian people, according to what is just generally known about them. If someone plays a Huron and wants to do a Xenos, that's one of those. We can go into more depth as to what is beyond the veil, because only their people really know.
Maybe someone who's mystical.
Well, storyline-wise, the Huron are actually not a mystical people. They're more,
okay.
they're more of a, I would say, narratively, the best way to kind of describe them is if you take the Krogan from Mass Effect, the Klingons from Star Trek, and the Predators from Predator, force them to have a child and make them sexy, and that is who the Huron are.
I love the and make them sexy. Like, is that a question, John? Are you asking if that's okay with
Make
us?
them sexy. It's a demand now. Only sexy.
All right, guys, what are we gonna do for a crew ship upgrade? We kind of
Yeah.
talked around a bunch of things, but we didn't decide anything.
Thank you for getting us back on track. One of the.
I think we should.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I think we should try to pick something that Tim and Dan just can't live with.
Alien pet.
What would they really hate?
I thought the alien pet was a crew upgrade. We're
Yeah.
looking at ship upgrades.
We are looking at ship upgrades. It's listed as crew gear.
So I do agree, like, some alternative mode of vehicle, whether that's personal vehicles, Land Rover, or shuttle. I think one of those would be useful for us.
So
Oh, these can be either. Sorry, these can be either. These 2 upgrades can be either crew or ship upgrades. It's just upgrades.
Okay, I thought it was it had to
So
be one or the other.
that's what I thought too. I just reread it.
Okay.
Yep.
Gotcha.
So like you could pick the Cerberus's stun weapons upgrade, which would be weapons that you have on your person, or you could take the auxiliary armory, which would be an armory inside the ship. So that makes sense. You could take Alien Pet as one of your upgrades.
Okay, in that case, we also have land transport for enough transportation for the entire crew, tires, and close to ground hover. And that one's only 1.
What one's that under?
That's under crew gear.
Okay.
There's a lot of transportation,
Land transport. Okay.
so we have plenty of transportation stuff.
All right. And the second one? If you're looking at, I mean, again, we don't know. We don't know what anyone's really playing. A medical bay could be useful if you have stitches, or just in general.
So those are modules, which are those? Is that part of this option?
That's correct.
Okay.
Ship modules and
Okay.
upgrades. Yeah.
Got it.
I mean, good thing we don't have too many choices, guys.
Fuck you.
Honestly, they all look pretty good in certain ways, you know, in one way or another.
So we decided we want some sort of transport as our first option, correct?
Yeah, and I'm gonna put the shuttle out there. For the
Does
transport.
anyone? I'm okay with the shuttle as well. That's kind of what I was thinking too. So do either of you two have a fight for the Land Rover over the shuttle?
No, I don't really. I don't have a strong preference.
No, I don't have a strong preference either.
So let's kind of lock in the shuttle as our first upgrade choice.
Okay.
That's one out of the way.
And to kind of satisfy that, hold on a second here. I don't know if this is going to work, but there it goes. So that's basically the shuttle size that I'm imagining.
Cool.
Yeah, that works.
So if you look at it, the way I'm kind of imagining it visually, and I'll get you a picture that's on the outside of it, but on the underneath, landing kind of clamps, magnetized, and it also has a docking port connection. You see that there's kind of like a looks like a little elevator section in the middle there.
Mm-hmm.
So you clamp onto that, that would open, and you'd kind of crawl out of your gravity into their gravity.
Also, just as a point of fact for this, because we're going to have a shuttle, someone else is going to have to at least have some competency flying.
Yep. Understood.
I don't care who it is, just saying one of our characters will have to have some competency with that too, outside of just me.
What skill
Noted.
is that?
There is one specifically attributed to that. I believe it's Helm.
So not only do we need a wash, we need a what's his?
Anara.
Yeah. We definitely need a. I mean, what?
So yeah, you need to have you can't use the ability unless you have a pip in it, right?
Right.
So one of us needs at least a pip in Helm besides me. I've got two because pilot from the get-go, but yeah. Also, just to say, with that ability, also it says literally you're able to, like, it's not just ships you're able to pilot, it's like animals, cars, and it counts for like anything that you can drive or ride, basically. You have some skill in it. So it's a versatile skill.
Right, what are we doing for our second one then? Come on, guys, make some decisions. I'm thinking stun. That's what I look for.
Really hard. I'm looking at the comms modules on page 120. Long range scanner. Big transponder.
Did you
Oh,
did you guys
that-
read Medical Bay? Because it adds +1D to all crew recovery rolls, which could be huge for a mission that we like. I mean, based on our cyberpunk experience and our D&D experience, might not be a bad idea to have an extra dice in our favor.
Wait,
you know what I
You're
mean?
making it sound like we get injured a lot.
I mean,
I like it.
you know what I mean?
That sounds like a good safe choice.
And I just like, also if we like fuck up a bounty too hard, we could throw them in the medical bay for you. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like
Yeah, no,
having a medical
I
bay
like it.
on our ship is not a bad idea.
Well, that
I
works
mean,
great for me
that
because
works.
it's
I'm
already.
okay with our like first upgrade being stun weapons, because like those will be helpful, but I feel like our first mission we might fuck up and wish we had a medical bay.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know
Maybe
what I
that'll
mean?
encourage Dan to be bones.
Yeah, stitches,
Yeah.
sure. So are we looking at shuttle and we're looking at medical bay? Those are the two we got.
I think so.
No, you were saying stun weapons, Kevin. Do you want to try and sell that?
No, I like a medical bay. Sounds good too. I'm okay with that.
Okay.
Everybody wants to do.
I just want to make sure if you want to fight, if you want to contest it, definitely throw down.
Yeah, feel free to
I
fight us
don't-
on anything, Kevin.
Well, I'll tell people that even though we might not all have stun weapons and stuff, my character is going to be a muscle, so he could always put somebody in a sleeper hold, and they'll fall
Yeah.
asleep after. But that's kind of like a stun weapon, anyways.
There you go.
And then once you get the
I
stun
said
weapons,
stun weapons.
and once you get the stun
Baka
weapons,
will just fucking
Kev Baka.
hold him.
Oh my god, he's got the beard for it. Okay, great. So we've got the modules done. So let's talk about the companies and factions that you've received these upgrades from. So the shuttlecraft was acquired through. Hold on a second here. The I want to say the Starsmiths have granted you the shuttlecraft.
Please tell me these are a bunch of guys that look exactly the same, that are all wearing glasses and suits, and call you Mr. Anderson all the time.
Sure. You're on good terms with them. They helped you get this upgrade. Did they broker a deal? Did you run a job for them? Did you bail them out of trouble? They like you, so you get +1 status, whatever that narrative is. We'll talk about that. And at your option, you can spend 1 credit at this point. Remember, you have 2 to repay their kindness and take a +2 status instead of +1 status with them instead. So, that said, let's talk about the lead up. Did you broker a deal with them to get this shuttle? Did you run a job for them? Did you bail them out of some kind of trouble? In this region, the Starsmiths mainly focus their kind of position of power on the moon of Mundus, which is one of the moons of Parias, the main hegemony world. The Starsmiths are on good terms with the hegemony. I'll get it right. So
Is this a corporation or is it a gang?
it's a guild.
Guild, okay.
I personally am leaning towards we did a job for them, something like
For the shuttle.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's where I'm leaning towards.
Okay. Well, let's talk about that job. What was it? How'd it go? Just spitball ideas, guys. Whatever you think might have happened. Kevin, you're
I don't
muted.
know, it'd be cool if he won it in a poker game.
Well, I was actually even thinking what it could be is the name Starsmith makes me think that obviously they like make stuff or something like that. Maybe
Or
someone
sing you
random-
to sleep.
Right. Like maybe someone stole some plans of
Wait
theirs
for
that they're
that.
trying to keep secret. They had to put a bounty out for someone, like one of their guys. Corporate espionage.
So
Damn it.
take that. Can I rank it up a little bit?
Do it.
Yeah.
Someone stole their starships, and they placed a bounty on the person who stole the starships. Not only did we get the person who stole the starships, but we were able to recover one of the shuttles, and they let us keep that shuttle.
Since it was already.
Because
Put to
they had written it off as fucking shrink or whatever you want to call it. So like that's like they called a bounty on the person who stole
Okay.
the shuttle from them. We managed to not only get the person who like stole fucking ships, but like recovered one of the shuttles as well, and they were like, keep it, we've already written it off.
Well, this is a background story, so let's talk about it. Like, let's make sure it's got elements in it that might come up, like, similar to a nest of Gundarks or what have you. So, exact details. The individual that you were sent to go and acquire.
It was Steven Tyler from Starsmith.
Oh,
He
no.
was the feature of Aerosmith.
I knew, I knew darkness was coming. Was an individual known as Dardanos. Dardanos is, who knows, is a Mundusian, which are the kind of tall, blue-skinned, six-fingered people who come from the moon of Mundus in the Dracian sector. He was the one who stole the shuttlecraft and a number of other small fighter ships as well inside of a cargo ship. Now, the cargo ship wasn't stolen. The cargo ship was still en route. It wasn't him who owned the ship. It was just him that was basically stowing away the ships on that cargo ship to get them out. Nobody knew where he was, but everyone knew he was the one who did it. You, as a group, gathered information and intel in and about the planet on planet side. Were able to put pieces together and utilizes those pieces to quickly board that craft, deal with hegemony forces that were contesting against you in a manner that made it discreet, but also deadly, recovered Dardanos, and having no set escape because your ship had to pilot away and was basically getting taken on by fighters from the hegemony that came in to save the shuttle or save the freighter. Those of you that were on board the ship and were picking up the individual, so not Matt and not Tim, had to get into the shuttle with Dardanos and escape with it. Sound good?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay.
Yep, like it.
And yeah, details are key. So like when we move into this next part, just keep that in mind as we describe the story that's moving forward. I'm giving you an example of me riffing, and I, of course, if you want help kind of working out the in-betweens, that's what I'm here for. But I will always yield to you. It just sounded like you guys were kind of like, this is the baseline. Just factor into those details is the key. Do you want to pay the Starsmiths the extra cred to get the +1 status? Like, they offered you the shuttle as a gift of kindness, and you were like, no, let us go ahead and pay you for that shuttle. And then they were like, we like you even more. Or are you just taking the shuttle and going?
We have 2 creds to work with, and
You have
1
2.
cred is about a month's worth of
Well, think of it as
resources,
just
give or take.
an increment. So jobs can range anywhere between 4 to 8 or 10 is probably the max you'll ever see. But it's typically 4 to 8 cred for a job.
I like the idea of us having someone in our corner already and an easy contact for jobs.
Yeah,
personally.
I'm going to say Tim probably would be willing to pay the 2.
So-
I'm undecided.
Now, Matt, you had mentioned that your character would be the one who is like, fuck it, fuck that, fuck, a lot of
Little
word
bit, yeah.
fuck being used.
It's quite a diverse word.
So would you say that the more straight and narrow kind of folks, such as Tim, would basically be like, no, let's go ahead and pay you for the shuttle, and then you would kind of be the odd one out and could basically, we didn't have to fucking pay for that shuttle in the future.
Yeah.
Like if it gets blown up.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, great. Perfect. So Andy, it sounds like Zach is on board for +1 cred to them and +1 status for them, and it sounds like Proxy Tim is also. Andy, you
Yep, that sounds good.
and Kevin, again, you can break.
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay, so then again, if you want your character to not be the one who's like, yeah, let's give him the cred, and basically be able to use that against other people in the future, I love that. That's great. So, Matt, keep that in mind. Notate that. You did not want to pay for the shuttle. Use that
Yeah,
as
just
a
to
point.
say, the way that I'm actually deciding what Tim's character would do is probably it's the opposite of what my character wants to do.
I wish I could see Tim's face when he's watching this and just like, that's not what I would have chosen.
So which one are you, Matt? Are you Danny DeVito or Arnold Schwarzenegger?
Are you
Oh, I'm
Danny?
definitely Danny DeVito.
Twins. What a great movie. And what a great reference.
Wait. Oh, yeah, okay, I remember. No, Junior was the one where he got pregnant.
Yeah, that was the one where it was really creepy. That one scene where the baby had Arnold
I don't
Schwarzenegger's
want
face on
I don't want it.
it.
So, that aside, so Starsmiths, okay, we're great. So the other faction that you happen to acquire, and this is for the, we had Shuttle and Medbay. So the Yaru are actually the faction that you asked for the Medbay from. But they were screwed over when you got this upgrade. Did you steal it from them? The Yaru are on the same planet as the Starsmiths, the same moon. So they're present there. And you got basically your ship, startup, from the Wutani Incorporated, and you know they're kind of affiliated with them. You're on kind of good terms with them, but this is kind of a disconnect. So I just want to make sure we kind of work out what you're doing here. Did you steal it from them? Was it specific individuals like ship this part? So was it something that was added on and wasn't supposed to be taken, and Butani gave it to you, but the Yaru were mad about it, or something like that? Is it illegal, this medical bay? Probably not. And now that Hegemony hunts the Yaru, or is not happy with the Yaru because they let you have this illegal med bay. Do they? What is it that caused it to go sideways?
So, as another question, sort of, like, is a Yaru another like guild or something like
Yeah.
that? Or
So according to the book,
Yep.
let's see. Yaru. The Makers Guild, also commonly known as the Yaru. The term Yaru was used to define or identify the clones that they force grow and train. The Yaru are incredibly secretive, and unlike the other guilds, nobody can study to test or apprentice into their number, so nobody's just allowed into them. Their fixed count is set by the hegemon. Hegemon. The gem. Gem
guys.
and the... I don't remember.
Hegemony.
Hegemony.
So yeah, they do cloning shit. Lots of med stuff. So how did you screw them over?
I think. How about they gave us like the Pleasure Dome version instead of the regular version of the medical bay? I'm thinking like Kubla Khan and like Rush, old song, Xanadu, not Xanadu, but yeah, it's Xanadu. The old Xanadu song, Kubla Khan and his Pleasure Dome. That's what I'm thinking.
Anybody have any? If nobody says anything else, that's what we're going
Well,
with.
I'm
It
just sort of.
the
like-
extra med thing injects you with illegal drugs as you're getting better, so it's like illegal.
Okay, so part of me actually feels like this would be one of those great opportunities to just sort of like rip someone off, like they pay us to do a job and just like we just kind of take it and do the opposite sort of a thing. Like I don't know. I'm trying to figure out how like this would work out. Part of me almost thinks like I'm not sure whether it would be one of those things whether this would be a job or it'd be one of those things where it was an opportunity, or it could be like,
Well,
I
we
feel
could
like this
make
could be
it.
a
We could
good
make
double
it.
cross situation too. Like someone pays us to get this thing for them, and instead we get it, realize how good it is, and keep it for ourselves.
We could make it interesting. So your ship is Wutani Incorporated, right? From the get go, we established that at the it being upgraded, right? And as those kind of upgrades were coming in, probably post the shuttle job with the Starsmiths, you were on that moon that I mentioned a minute ago, and I'm going to mention again.
Moondust.
Correct. Um, and while you were there, you had noticed that another Wutani ship, not too dissimilar and of the same kind of identification or classification as your ship, was supposed to be getting cargo listed for it. And you tricked the dock master or the port master to put it on your ship instead. The Yaru knew that it was you, but because you were Wutani sponsored and are in good favor with them, they're pursuing you independent of that disconnect or of that connection. Does that work?
That's good, but I got a good idea here.
Go with it.
About when we got the med bay, it actually it made like a horrible mistake. It accidentally separated the twins. They were like Siamese twins, and they got really pissed. They're like, "Damn it, put us back together."
What are you
They're
talking
like,
about?
"No."
I'm
keeping
so
the med bay."
confused now.
Not as
Focus.
crazy.
Focus. Anybody have any ideas? Just spitball.
So I actually like the idea of us doing that in terms of tricking the dockmaster. I feel like the one thing that I would like to twist about that a little bit is, as
Go.
opposed to it being the entire crew, it's someone independently deciding.
So it's
To do
one
something.
of you.
One of us specifically is just sort of like, oh yeah, no, that's supposed to go with our ship, and no one else, like the rest of the crew, wasn't aware of it. People got back on, we got off, and everyone's just like, wait a second, what the crap is this doing in here now?
Or they get mad at us and we don't know why. Only the person who made the shady deal knows
Well,
why.
I imagine it would be understandable suddenly if there's a like, after a while, someone might put it together, but like, I feel like it would be one of those things where it's just like, oh yeah, I just got an upgrade for the ship, had
Now-
some extra cred.
Now, if Kevin's planning on going muscle, I mean, he could have been just like he could have just thought it was his anyways and signed for it and just gone with it. Like it could have been a dumb accident that happened, not
That's
an
true, too.
intentionally deceptive accident. Like I'm not saying that the muscle's dumb or anything. But,
Right. No,
stereotypically.
I'm just thinking like it would be kind of interesting if it was like just an independent part of the crew and the rest of the crew's unaware of what's going on in the background.
I dig it. Well, it could be the case that the person who did it inadvertently afterwards realized, oh shit, like, and then instead of saying anything, has kept it, and everyone's like, wow, Butani really hooked us up with this med bay, but that one person knows,
So is that
uh-oh,
like waiting for the other shoe to drop, where they're gonna come
Yeah.
ask
Yeah,
to
that's
We're
sort of like
waiting.
a waiting for the other shoe to drop sort of a situation.
Okay,
yeah.
that's cool.
It's basically we're giving John a knife that only one of the crew members understands, and everyone else is like, wait, why are they mad at us?
Who wants to be the one the knife stuck to? That's the question. So, again, it sounds like Matt and Tim have a lot of stuff with the Butani and the build up, and also with the first upgrade with the Starsmiths. So, I mean, they kind of have their own thing going. I just want to make sure other characters are kind of involved and getting invested as well. And I know those characters haven't been defined yet as thoroughly as those two, so this is helpful in getting there. So, who wants to take the credit for accidentally medbaying the ship? Kevin, I think you're muted.
I know. I'm just talking to myself.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't really fit with my character.
Making accidents?
Yeah.
So, I was thinking of potentially making a stitches myself, and like the idea that's kind of coming together now is like I was assigned to this one ship that like I was supposed to be on, but I saw your crew pull
Oh.
up, and I was the
I
one
like that.
who changed the fucking order to be on your ship because you have this like reputation of being an effective crew,
And you got the
and
better
I
med bay that
wanted
way.
to be on that ship, and I got the med bay installed onto that ship to be with the effective crew, and like I'm the only one who knows that I fudged the paperwork. Like you didn't know you were getting a doctor until you like parked in this one like and got your ship or whatever. And it's like, oh, and it came with the fucking doc.
Oh, I like that. It's
who,
like Dr.
I love
Conrad.
it.
Yeah,
That's
so,
great.
like,
I like it
that's-
too.
so, like-
I like it.
So just to work out a couple of things here, were you thinking about doing Xenos?
yes.
Okay. So putting that to table, let's just kind of focus on that just a little bit so we can kind of get a picture here. Now, I have a couple, and it doesn't have to be one of these. It can be whatever you want. But when it comes to the planet, or rather the moon of Mundus, there are the Mundusian people, which are kind of blue-skinned, slightly taller, six-digited. If you're familiar with Magic the Gathering, they're kind of like the Dalkin. If you're familiar with Mass Effect, they're kind of like the Ascari, I think. Ascari,
Yeah.
the blue people. They don't have they don't have to have tentacles on their heads. They can. Again, this is still just kind of formatting. The only thing that I'm demanding is that they are logical, calculating, kind of very technical individuals. They have 6 digits and they're blue skin.
So this is the character that I was thinking is like a lot of those people become engineers, they become technicians.
Yep.
I became a physician because you look at the body like a mechanical piece of equipment. It's
Well-
like a surgeon looks at a human and does it like a
You
fucking
could
car
have
mechanic.
you could have connections with the Yaru. You could have come from that guild, the Makers Guild. You could be a cloner. I mean, you
Yeah.
could be someone who's done that kind of work. And the med bay that you're kind of pulling in isn't just a snap job. You were being sent on that other ship because you were whatever you want, secret stuff, hegemony stuff. Like you could be going to find a person
Going to extract like DNA, like I
Or-
was going to get like
the crew that you were with was also on a Cerberus kind of style ship. You were going to extract a person, kill them, clone them, and mind controlled, like have a programmed controlled clone to do something nefarious. And you're just like, no, I don't want to do that. I
Right.
want to be free, and this is my escape ticket right here. Kind of deal.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, 100. I like that a lot.
Okay. Well, whatever the details of your turn, I want those to be. If you're familiar with Firefly, you know who Shepard is, right?
Yep.
He knows shit, and no one else really has any idea of like the kind of depths of depravity he's been through. Like, I kind of mentally think that you, being a member of the Makers Guild, have seen some pretty bad stuff going on with the cloning labs on Mundus. Or cloning
Oh, yeah.
fresh, I believe it's called on Mondays. Cool. I dig it. So then it sounds like, hold on, let me get to the right page. Sounds like it's pretty bad. Alright, so they start you with a -2 status with the Yaru. At your option, you can spend 1 cred to have mollified them in some way and take a -1 status instead. Smoothing it over, but how that is smoothed over is up to you.
Also,
It's just
that -2, that's like for the entire ship reputation with them, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Just want to make sure I have it correct in the notes.
Okay. Do you want to spend money to help you with this faction or no?
We only
Uh,
have 1
Yeah.
credit.
And the majority of the crew has no idea about this.
So I vote no.
Okay. So they're hot on your heels, and most of you will not know why. I dig it.
As the game starts, yes.
Great. Let's see.
I like that, Zach. I like that a lot.
That's real good. Okay, so choose a favorite contact. Take a look at your list of potential contacts on the ship sheet. Although all the contacts are your friends and allies, one is closer to the crew than the others. Choose one contact who's a close friend, longtime ally, or partner in crime. The GM will tell you about 2 factions that are impacted by your choice. Potential contacts on your ship sheet.
Yeah, the fixer sounds interesting.
I also like the Xeno tracker.
I think that's something we're going to be doing a lot of.
Your trackers.
Could we change it to Zigzag the Fixer?
As long as every time I write up a sentence, Zach gives it in a broken French accent. Oh,
A drunken French accent.
good. I just noticed this from the chat. Good point here. Zach, maybe you are a clone. Maybe you yourself are a clone escaping out, and
I
that's
can
what
work with that.
you're trying
Yeah.
to get out. Now, clones are temporary normally and are detectable. Maybe you're something that's like, like a proto, or like a prototype is what the word I was looking for. That's more has a bit more longevity. That could be cool.
Yeah.
Maybe he's like the chosen one, prototype. You know.
A replicant.
Maybe he was born from metachlorians, and no father.
Going with this one.
Maybe they ended up cutting up his brain a lot in weird ways, and now he's an assassin.
I'm out. Let's go. Yeah. I like him being. I don't like him being something that would have had no agency. So yeah, I think you just being a doctor instead of not a clone so much to say. I think that goes a bit better. You actually being someone who worked with them. But yeah, contact-wise, what are we looking at?
Maybe he doesn't know he's a clone. Sorry, I'm done.
It's okay.
Getting a little Blade Runner-y there, buddy.
Oh, I wish I remember.
Break people's fingers.
If we,
Teardrops in the rain.
if we talked like 6 years ago, yeah, I could have probably done that. I could have recited that whole bit. Unicorn, obviously. Thank you. Wombat in the chat. Let's see. Oh, contacts. Get back to that. I am focusing on the factions rather that'll ultimately come to be associated.
I mean, quite honestly, I'm fine with either of the ones that were put out, the Fixer or the Xeno Tracker. I think both of those sound good. Andy, what did you
Kevin?
have one that lent?
I put out the fixer.
Oh, you
So-
put out the Fixer. So Kevin, what did you have
Yeah,
preference?
I vote for Fixer.
Oh, right, zigzag.
Right.
Okay. Fixer is sounding like it's the one. Is that a final answer?
I'm okay with it. I like my only thought with the Xeno tracker was just like because I'm playing the cloner and looking for, but like the fixer is easier. You know what I mean? Like it opens up our possibilities more. I'm okay with it. I'm not gonna fight it.
Okay. So I would say that the fixer in question happens to be a member of a group known as Draxel's Raiders. Now, Draxel's Raiders are kind of focused in Iota and Breck, which are two systems in the Procyon system.
Sorry, can you say those again? And
Oh, sorry. Iota, IOTA, Breck, and those are in the Procyon system, which is the main sector in the Scum and Villainy book. But they have branched out and are making their way into the Dracian system. They are individualistic pirates who specialize in disabling ships before boarding. And they have taken up residence in the duration system, or specifically the system and the sector, I guess would be true too. That said, the fixer contact is an individual known as, I'm not going to go with Zigzag, it's too on the nose. The individual in question, this fixer, is
Zag Zig.
Johan Alcarde, and I'll go ahead and post his name in the Discord. He is a bit of a fancy Dan, and definitely lives up the kind of idealistic kind of space pirate that you probably have in your head. If you're familiar with Faerun, then it'd probably be a bit like a Jarlaxle Baneray kind of individual. He's got a big wide brimmed cap with frills, brightly colored attire, space blaster on the hip. He's a bit of a rogue trader, if you will. I would say that the two main characteristics that he has is underneath his big hat, bald head, smooth as a baby's bottom. He is a Xenos. He is what is known as a he's a Kresh. So he's green skinned, and kind of has a almost kind of serpentine kind of features. I will have pictures of these races once I've drawn them. Give me time. But the main thing to note is the main features that he has that are most notable. He is a Kresh. Once you see what the races look like, he's bald though, and he has he's missing his left leg. It's been replaced with a prosthetic that is made out of a very chromed out kind of metal. And it appears to be kind of shaped in a kind of like curved blade, almost like a scimitar blade, from the knee down.
He's a Kresh, exciting. He's so inviting to you. I've stopped singing now.
Just don't let him kneel on you.
That's Kresh. That's baby song for sure.
Yes, Kevin.
You knew what I'm talking
Of
about.
course I
Andy.
do. You're fresh, Kevin.
Okay.
Crush like a crush.
That's canon now for our stuff. Fresh like a Kresh.
Fresh like a Kresh. What was I saying? Oh, right. We're talking about what happens next. Oh my gosh, where is the thing I was on? Contacts. We're going to contacts.
Right. Update your ship info is number 7 on the list of like the 7 things you need to do.
Yeah.
What's the ship name? Pilot.
That's something you need to work on your own. Choose your favorite yeah, sorry, thank you for that. I was looking for the numbers because that's what I've been utilizing, and I kept on looking down from page 116 instead of going to page 116. Right. What's the name of the ship?
Name's in the chat. I popped the name in the chat.
How about Aerostar?
Oh man, that's a good question. What would be a good ship name?
So we're like hunting down, like hounds. Come on.
I mean, I get it. I'm just
Did you say cunting?
hunting?
Yeah,
We're
H-U-N.
hunting down. Yeah,
That's exactly what I think.
100%.
Yeah, and we'll
This
throw
game is
another
going to be
ship on
as
the Barbie.
offensive as possible.
Let's call our ship the Bitch and Heat.
I'm sorry I said anything. I thought I heard
Oh, yeah.
something.
Yeah, our crew name is the PMSs.
Stop. So, one faction is friendly. That's the faction that I mentioned. Sorry. You get +1 status with the raiders. But there's a faction that is unfriendly towards the contact. And is not a fan of him, of Johann specifically. And that faction happens to be the 67th Legion. The 67th Legion is the hegemony's. I did it again. The hegemony's main force in the Dracian system. So the 51st Legion is the one that resides in the Procyon system, sector rather. These ones are primarily focused on this area. They're not nearly as powerful as the Legion back that way, but they are still pretty notorious. So you get +1 status with the Raiders. You get -1 status with the 67th.
I like Wombat's suggestion in the Twitch chat for the ship name.
Oh, hold on a second, I need to pull that up.
Hunter's Mark.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Okay. Josh Bot, did you get that from D&D? Hunter's Mark. Is he telling us that we're a bunch of rangers?
I threw some samples up on Discord.
As long as you don't mispronounce the first word like I did,
What?
we'll be
Not
okay.
people's names.
What is
Yeah.
your deal? Why are you so into fucking rock?
100% off the space parts. We are the
100%.
space
I don't know, I
space
kind
part.
of like the fuzz. Maybe we're the hot fuzz.
Hunter's Mark is pretty cool. I like it.
I do actually like
weird.
Hunter's Mark.
All the options that Kevin put in the chat are stupid. And again, I hope you're not terribly insulted by that.
You know, maybe we should just be the Simon Peggs.
Although Undaunted, I see that kind of in there. That's not too bad.
There's some normal stuff in there for normal people.
The Cornetto. I'm sorry, now I've just got Hot Fuzz stuck in my head and I'm just thinking, Nick Frost. No, Hunter's Mark's not bad.
You got anything there?
The more you say it, the more I like it.
Like what?
Hunter's Mark.
For right now, I'll put in Hunter's Mark.
It's not cool
Thanks,
for a
Wombat.
spaceship. A spaceship should be like, you know, like floating miasma or something weird like that, you know?
Okay, you do realize one of the most popular sci-fi shows was just called Firefly, right? And it's named the Serenity. Just saying.
Yeah, you could like call the ship the Enterprise, but then it's more of like a military or, you know, real, like that's why I was saying Undaunted sounds like the Titanic or something, you know, a real big, you know, name. But
Okay, what I'm going to say is if we come up with a better name, we can change it. I'm putting Hunter's Mark down for right now.
But what I was going to say in response to that is if you don't use Undaunted, I will use it for a big capital ship. It is pretty dumb. Thank you, Kevin, for naming the 67th named ship.
Oh,
Dude,
dang it,
the
what?
Undaunted feels like the big fucking ship that scrolls past the
Yeah.
screen after the like intro credits.
Yeah. That's the Undaunted.
fucking ship. We're not the Undaunted. We're like
I
six
dig
dudes
it, though.
in a little fucking
I wanna-
yeah. Like
I-
I like the Undaunted, but
As
the
the name of a
Undaunted is
big
the
ass
fucking yeah. Like exactly. That's
capital
a
ship.
Star
John,
Destroyer.
I feel like one of these ships needs to be named the Nimbus, and then you just need to do your best Zap Brannigan impersonation.
Oh. He referenced Red Dwarf in the chat. I want to make sure you know there is a race I have here that's based solely on cat. I didn't think anybody actually knew Red Dwarf besides me.
Dude, Red Dwarf is the best, like one of the best British sci-fi shows outside of Doctor Who. It's
Yeah.
great.
The what's
They're
the,
all dead, Dave. Every one of them. They're all dead.
the image.
It's a great
That-
start.
Yeah, the image are based on cat. They're if cat was like mixed with an Ewok.
This is now mine, and this is now mine, and this is now mine.
Redford Tabaxi people. But yeah, okay, great. So you'll update your ship info. You should see this how to do that on 115. I'm pretty sure you're close to it already, but upkeep's the
Yeah,
main
I've been
thing.
keeping track of things too and making sure.
I
this
don't know if
is-
it auto calculates to upkeep on those sheets, but you definitely want to check and make sure that you've got the right upkeep for your ship. So every time you take downtime, you'll need to pay your upkeep fee in creds. Typically, upkeep of 2 is where most ships will start at.
I'll have to double check through that.
You currently have 1 cred. Alright. So, gambits are a thing that you'll start with as well. You start with 1 because you're in a Cerberus style ship. And anytime you roll a 6 or critical result on a risky action that you did not spend a gambit on during a job, you get a gambit. So if you do super good and get like crazy lucky, then you'll get gambit. And gambits are basically just at any time it's in the pool for the party, you can go, oh, I need to succeed at this roll, and then you can ask to take the gambit from the communal pool and use it for your roll. Make sense? But yeah, other ships get 2 gambits, but because of the ship you chose, you only get 1. Alright. So the starting position that they have listed is dumb. We'll deal with the starting position later because we're not doing that in this session. We'll be discussing it kind of more in the Discord and then implementing it in the next session that we run, the first real session. Alright, so now we need to focus on the crew. And I'm trying to find the book page for that, and I'm having a problem doing it. Why am I having a problem doing that? Sorry, I was prepared earlier, and then...
Kevin, we can name our shuttle the Chode.
I dig it. I dig it. The hunter's marking the chode.
That's great. We
Nah.
laugh every time. We say it.
Every single time Matt says launching the Chode.
Is the chode ready to depart?
I didn't pay for the chode.
One of us has to refill the Chode.
Dude, it's your turn to clean out the chode.
It smells so bad in the chode. I'm out. Alright. So, let's discuss characters. Let's get those crew formed. Oh my gosh, where's my... Do you know what page it is, Matt?
I'm
Do you
sorry.
want it- do you
The
want
crew stuff?
Yeah. Oh, there we go. 55. No wonder, it's well before the ship. Okay. Weird. So, choose a playbook. Your playbook contains all the specific rules needed to play a certain character type in Scum and Villainy. There are a total of 7 options. Mechanic, we have one, but that's not saying you can't play one as well. Muscle, muscles are good at winning fights. Play a muscle if you want to be unstoppable in combat. Mystic, mystics are good at dealing with the way. Play one if you want to use artifacts and weird powers. Mystics are Jedi, kind of mentally. They're also sirens if you're more of a fan of Borderlands. They are, they're like that. Now, like I said, in my version of Scum and Villainy, this is not going to be something that is going to be like common knowledge or something that happens a shit ton. Some people might have kind of a slight understanding of the way that are not mystics. Some people might have heard about people capable of doing this stuff, but Matt, your character is not going to have seen this shit happen a bunch. The only person you will
I
ever...
just need a blaster by my side.
100%, thank you. speaking of being a badass, pilots is the next option. We have one. Not to say we can't have another. Scoundrels are a bit more what you were just describing, actually. Very Han Soloian. Yeah, they are people who are better at luck than mystical magic, beating people up, or what have you. Speakers are the people who talk, very good at communicating, very social, interconnected, and so on. And stitches are the ones who are snitches. No, sorry, they deal with science,
Stitches are the meds.
patch people up, make people, empathy kind of could be, it could be Deanna Troy, it could be, Bones, as you mentioned.
It could be a cloner, just
Cloner.
random.
Yeah, could be that, since we already set that up. That's what we're doing. So each playbook is a set of special abilities which gives your character ways to break the rules, and triggers for your experience, which determine how they earn experience points for character advancement. Each playbook also has a starting ability unique to them. No playbook has a monopoly on their focus. A muscle could be amazing at Helm, or a mystic could be excellent at Scrap. But we've already done a wizard who was slow as fuck, so let's not do that again. Oh, we could. Mystics with light swords, that's fine, I'm okay with that.
Muscle wizard.
I mean, I have an idea of the character. If I could tell you that if you want.
Oh yeah, certainly, go nuts.
Yeah, so I was thinking about a mystic, and sort of like in my mind, I was thinking like a mashup of like Kevin would get this David Carradine in Kung Fu.
I would
Right?
do
So like
that.
a wandering kind of like martial artist guy, mashed up maybe with a little bit of Qui-Gon Jinn from Star Wars, kind of a vibe, maybe throw in a little bit of the Dalai Lama for the wisdom stuff. So, in
Now,
terms of, go ahead.
are you wanting to do a human, or are you wanting to go
I
Xenos?
wanted to go human.
Nobody wants to
I-
play.
Much like David Carradine.
Oh, he's the dude who played Stick.
Dude, I'd like to say
Yeah.
Kung Fu.
This could
Such
be
a
you.
good series. Why don't people watch it more?
This could be you.
So, if I was a Xenos,
Yeah.
I will consider it. I'll talk to you more about that on the side. Anyway, I wasn't considering that initially. I'm thinking of a wanderer heritage,
Or
and I'm thinking of a
Okay.
cult background. So like maybe, hold on. Is there another picture?
no, I'm listening. Keep going.
Oh, yeah, so like a cult background. So like I'm thinking something like has like this religious background, or, that's where he learned these kind of martial arts / religious / I guess mystical kind of ways. He had a rival, and he was framed for murder, and now he's kind of like wandering slightly on the run, which is why he sort of fell in with this
Are
kind of.
Are you familiar with the anime Samurai Champloo?
No.
Oh my
Okay.
god, yes.
He just
So
described
much.
He just described Jin. He just
Yeah, he did.
So I went with kinetics
Okay.
rather than sideways. So I really like the idea of being like fast and throwing shit around and being a little bit more stealthy.
Okay.
So I did put together just rough out the character in terms of the attributes, and so I put like 3 in scramble, 2 in scrap, 2 in skulk.
Okay. And you use
Character?
the rules in the book to build out the character, right?
Yes.
Okay, I'll take a look at them. I didn't know you'd actually gotten to that. I've already looked at other people's who kind of.
Not finished, but I mean I just did a little bit of that kind of thing.
Yeah, I didn't even know you'd started, so that's better.
Yeah.
Great. Well, the reason why I was suggesting a Xenos to anybody, if you are a Xenos, we get to kind of invent inhuman kind of feat that you can do for stress. So, like, there's things that only your race are capable of doing because of that. So that's definitely an interesting aspect to kind of throw in there and kind of keep that in mind.
Okay.
But again, you know me in Dungeons and Dragons. I'm always playing a human when I get the chance to play as a character, so I get it. I understand. It's just something that you're aware of and how it works, and I do like to have the opportunity for you to try different stuff. Also, Xenos don't have to be the things that I've laid out. It could be something you make up whole cloth, or use one of the examples that they have in this book. Okay.
Or it could be like the new Star Wars character who is a rock.
Oh yeah, I dig him. He's great. He's a navigator. I love it. But yeah, that'd be fine too.
Okay, so anyway, that's
Probably a bit harder to work with.
character.
Okay. Go ahead.
That kind of makes sense, I think.
Okay, yeah, I dig it. And then we kind of had a discussion already with Matt, your character. We know a bit about you and Tim from that. And then Zach,
Tim's obviously got more details for his character than I do.
we already covered a bit about your character as well, I would say. So mainly we're focusing on Kevin, I think. Let's put him on the spotlight. So,
Cool. I kind of know what I want to make.
what do you want to play?
I'm thinking I want to play a muscle,
Uh-huh.
and so I was kind of thinking, actually, of a character that was kind of like Chewbacca, but not exactly. Also, kind of like the guy from Monsters Inc., the big blue guy.
So you do want to be a hairy
Sully.
kind of Xenos?
Yeah, like something hairy. I'm thinking with a different color though than just brown or blue. Maybe like
Red?
orange or different. Red, maybe something different. Yeah.
Okay. Well, as I mentioned in the side chat, the Imish are a race that I kind of have put into the world. So you'd basically be implemented. That come from the planet Cogito and are kind of like bipedal cats or bears, kind of somewhere in between there. I had mentioned that the main kind of inspiration for them was Ewoks, but not short. And
Wait, I thought you said it was also Cat from Red.
it's also Cat from Red Dwarf. It's basically if that guy was an actual Tabaxi and was red haired. They do
That would be amazing.
they do kind of lean towards a I mean if you're planning on doing accents, if you want to do accents, it would be British but it's entirely up to you. Like if you're saying that the characters that you've said, the first one doesn't talk. Chewbacca is not a real conversationalist, and we can't really do subtitles for gargles and grunts.
We just asked Kevin's question. Hey Kevin, what? Hey Kevin's character, what do you think? Oh,
And then
I
we just
agree.
we just all just go with what we think he means. That
He agreed with my character.
how's that possible?
He
He agreed
says
with
he
mine.
wants to punch Zach's character in the mouth. What?
That's not what I heard. So anywho, I would prefer it not go to that. But again, I'm not going to stop you. I'm just stating my personal preference. If you want to do that, that's fine. I'm okay with that. That's comic reliefy as an F. But
I would probably just. I don't want to do a British accent because unless I'm going like you bloody bastard.
no, it's fine.
I can't really do a British accent.
You don't have to do accents if you don't want to. I'm just saying that if you see other Imish in the world or in the universe, they probably will be Britishy. At least my version of British that
Cool.
everyone will enjoy.
Always do.
So you could do that, or you could just be a non regulated to this system. You're coming from Procyon. You're a Xenos from the core, like closer to the core worlds. Be that as that may, and it can be whatever you want. The sky's the limit.
Yeah, it would be kind of cool to play something that's kind of different. That way, I was thinking, you could do some fun things with like normal human behavior. Like if it's an alien that's totally weird, like what
Yeah.
the heck is that?
No, I agree. So what I'm saying is I'm giving you two options here. The way that these rules kind of work is they kind of leave it out. So if you're playing a Xenos, you can basically be any kind of diverse kind of countless non-human race that you want that has basically been in the hegemony and has found his or her way in the whole just universe of it all. What I've done with these races that I've listed is kind of given you examples of races that you're going to see prominently in this system and sector. And the reason I've done that is if you want to play one of those to be incorporated into the setting from the get-go, that's an opportunity for you to do that. Or if you want to play as an outsider coming in and make up your own race and culture and stuff, that's also an opportunity for you to do that. So if you wanted to play a guy that looks like what's the dude from Monsters Inc.'s name? I can't remember. Sully. If you want to play Sully from Monsters Inc. and you want your society and culture to have its own kind of story, go nuts. As long as it's not we sing 80s songs in midstream all the time for no reason.
Low blow, John. That was a low blow, John. Come on.
All I do is copyright strike Twitch streams.
That's all I do. That's literally what I do.
Literally, the character actually
The
every
whole
single
race.
line that he says is something that is copyrighted.
The whole race is literally just
What we do as a
Matthew.
race.
They're just Matthew McConaughey's.
For now, yeah, Matthew McConaughey. I think for now I'm gonna play
A nice
Buick.
Sorry.
An alien race that's. I think for now I'm gonna play like an alien race that's like very rare.
Okay.
So like, I'll come up with what it's like.
So you're
I
not-
can send you like a little bit.
You're not from
little
here.
bit stuff on-
Is the main thing.
Yeah, I'm not from here.
Okay, perfect. Cool. And so we've got 2 Xenos so far and 2 humans.
3 humans, because Tim and I are brothers.
That's the 2 humans.
Yeah,
He said he
they
might go
usually find
Xenos.
I thought.
And
Well, Andy was saying he was a human, but he might.
he
Yeah.
said he might. That's why I didn't count him yet.
Okay, gotcha.
He is transient at current. He is not a species. But heritage is the thing that you're choosing here. Let me be a bit more specific. Imperial, so you hail from Warren or the core worlds. So like you're from like the center worlds. You've been kind of brought up with guild vocational education. You have an understanding of that kind of stuff. You could be a spacer, someone who's been living on a ship their entire life, which I'm assuming. Oh no, sorry, you're a colonist. You said, Matt. Which is the next one. You were born in a colony somewhere in between. Manufactured families are basically people who are kind of put into their societies. Yarrow clones who escaped a facility, or Urbots that have avoided routine memory wipes. Oh, sorry, that was another thing I forgot to mention. You could play a robot. I didn't mention that. If you want to be a robot, that's also a thing. Wander is another heritage that you can choose. Someone who doesn't have a planet to call their home. And then Xeno. I think so far as to say, the main person who I have with the Xeno heritage is Zach. And then also, it sounds like Kevin as well. And then we have 2 colonists backgrounds, right? And then it kind of sounded like if he goes human, I guess...
I mean, he could be a Xenos with a cult background.
Or a Xenos with the Wanderer background.
Right.
Since he's kind of moving away from that planet and not calling it home. Okay, perfect. And then you have your background. Academic, labor, cult, guilder, military, noble, syndicate. It sounds like from your background, Zach, your background is going to be cult. So you were part of the Makers Guild.
Wait, would his be a
Gilder. Sorry, thank you.
Gilder, that's what I thought. Yeah, okay. I was gonna.
Andy's was the one that was the cult back.
Right. You got me mixed up in my brain.
No worries.
So, Kevin, this guy we're talking about here, Kev Baca for short. Kev Bach for short. Is he an academic?
Actually, that would be the best thing. He's a muscular academic. He is a muscle wizard.
Was he a laborer that was basically just like, a worker, driver, dockhand, miner, or other tradesperson that's just kind of moved on from that? Cult? This is page 59, by the way, if you're following along on the book.
Is there something? I have the book, but I don't have it open right now. Is that is there something that's like I could be from a primitive society, and I've been living with, like people that are more intelligent for a while now? That's
more your heritage. Your background is kind of like what you've been doing. So, are you a professor, student, researcher? No. Are you a factory worker, driver, dockhand, miner, or other type of tradesperson that uses their hands? That's a labor background. Cult means that
I'm
you are
probably a labor.
Okay.
I guess I'd be a laborer then.
Yeah, there's also military. There's also, syndicate. You're part of an organized crime, or in some way kind of associated with them. But labor sounds good. You want to do that?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Okay.
Yeah, labor.
Dope. And then we got Gilder for Zach. What about you, Matt? What's your background?
So my background is syndicate.
Okay.
I was figuring that's kind of how I started getting my feet wet with like flying ships around.
Now
I
with
started doing like basic transport stuff for them on like the colony world that I was on.
Was Tim also getting?
Tim was going for Gilder actually. He was figuring that with the mechanic background, he started off working for a guild on the colonist planet.
Perfect. Well, I already know what guild and why you're already in good with them and why he was keen on paying them for the shuttle. He is affiliated with the Starsmiths, which are a guild that makes spaceships. That makes sense. And it's working out really well that connection is maintained. Perfect. And we'll make sure he knows that in the future. Now, again, I don't have much on Dan, but we will try and kind of hash him in. Okay, so assign 4 dot actions. Each playbook begins with 1 action at level 2, 1 at level 1. You get to add 4 more ratings to bring you to a total of 7 dots assigned. During character creation, no action rating may be higher than 2, unless a special ability tells you otherwise. Brief descriptions of all the actions follow on page 64 and 65. Assign your action ratings like this. Increase by 1 any action you feel reflects your character's heritage, and then increase by 1 any action that you feel reflects your character's background, and then increase 2 more actions anywhere you like. Max rating 2.
Okay, so just to say, one of the ones that both Tim and I were thinking we'd have at least one additional
For
thing
colonists?
Well, no, actually for family, is scrap, because we always fight with each other and it can get physical.
Yeah.
So we were both thinking like we'd have scrap in there just because we get at each other's throats.
Well, I was saying too that also works well with your, you being a colonist family. Like, I mean, you're out there on the edge. I mean, you're dealing with alien beasts. You're dealing with stuff like that. I mean, it's not a pretty situation. So yeah, that makes sense.
Are you guys like Oasis?
That's fun. There you go.
I said, are you like Oasis?
We're not a Wonderwall.
Champagne Supernova, perfect ship name.
Oh, that is a good ship name.
That's a good ship name.
That's what I'm talking about.
There you go, Kevin. It's
Maybe-
something that you got there.
Maybe the shuttle instead of Chode. Are we sticking to the Chode?
Chode. Chode is hilarious.
Are we keeping pressed against the Chode? Chode. So what you'll want to do is in your character creation process there, you want to assign your 4 dot actions.
Right.
And if you need any help or have any questions regarding that, let me know. And by this point, you should have chosen a playbook, which is the role you take. Chosen a starting ability. Chosen a special ability. And then we've done heritage and background as well. You caught up, Kevin?
I haven't chosen all my stuff yet, but I kind of have an idea of what I want to do. I think I'll do that
Okay.
at another time and then just run it by you. I don't have a character sheet on
Oh.
Roll 20.
Well, let's fix that.
I thought it was because I had to be like a twin to get a character sheet or something.
No, I think it's just because you only jumped in just today, and we had this up for a while.
Yeah, that's not.
Yeah, and also Kevin, on the character sheet, it's nice. You just write in muscle at like the top, and it auto fills in a lot of stuff for you.
Cool.
Should have a sheet now.
All right, I'm ready to go. Yeah, I'm thinking of some cool things that my alien race can do or cannot do.
Well, they can fight all crime.
it cannot get in trouble for breaking a copyright law. That's what it can't do.
Oh, look, an airlock.
Okay, so John, I do have some questions in terms of like the way that some of these skills interact, because specifically I'm looking at Skulk, which seems to be specifically saying like you move stealthily without being noticed, and part of me is trying to figure out just in terms of piloting and all that
Yeah.
sort of stuff. Yeah, that would cross apply.
Yeah. So, okay, let's talk about that for a little bit
Yeah.
to kind of give you some
I'm
ideas.
just trying to figure out cross application of some of these skills.
Sure, sure. So when you are... Okay, hold on. I am going to... Alright, so when it comes to the situation, which actions are reasonable solution to a problem? Must we scramble across the tarmac past the Legion, or can we quietly skulk? These are two different skills, or two different actions. You can choose, as long as it sounds like it fits. So if you're saying, I want to skulk past, and you're the pilot, like, yeah, that's fine. That makes sense. So when it comes to actually rolling an action roll, the action options that you have are attune, command, consort, doctor, hack, helm, rig, scramble, scrap, skulk, study, sway. Everything bullets down to one of those. What do those mean? So command is you compel obedience with your force of personality. Consort, you socialize with friends and contacts. So basically command is more of an intimidate, kind of mentally, but not exactly. Consort is more of a gather information, if you're familiar with 3rd edition D&D. Whereas sway might be more deception kind of deal. Now, similar situation. You're in your spaceship, right? And you're flying. And you've got somebody behind you. And you want to lose them. But you want to trick them into kind of doing something. And you want to use like a ship move to trick them. I mean, sure. You could probably just use helm. Great. But you could also use sway.
Right.
Because you're trying to deceive them into doing something. Trying to deceive them into, you're tricking them.
Yeah.
You could sway with your spaceship.
I was thinking for mine, obviously, as I said, we already have scrap, have helm and rig set up, and then I was thinking like skulk would make sense, and so would sway, just in terms of having the background in terms of the syndicate.
Yeah.
Might have picked up some skills from that in terms of like, if I'm carrying around illicit cargo, I probably want to run under the radar or be able to persuade people like, oh, this isn't like any, I'm not up to anything.
100%.
And then I was just thinking like the other one is command, just because, like, in charge, like piloting the ship, in charge of that sort of stuff, like all those things I feel like make sense.
So yeah.
So like that sort of a thing. The command one I'm finding a bit harder to fit into like background or whatnot outside of just like.
I honestly don't think
running
you're
a
the.
ship.
I don't think you're the commander. I
don't think I'm the commander, but sometimes you need to say, I need this, like, like fix this now. Sort of like just sort of like if you're under pressure and you need something done.
Yeah, but
it's just bark something out. Like I'm not thinking like a huge amount of skill in it, but just like a +1 in it, just because.
I don't think that you're going to use command against your allies.
Gotcha.
So what I'm saying with command being a skill that you would have if you're more of like a leader type, you're demanding obedience from people that aren't particularly your group. Because again, you're not going to make contested actions against players. That's never going to happen. Not a once. It's always against NPCs. So if you use command, it's going to be either people that you are trying to basically talk down to because you have a voice of authority. So maybe if you're like a part of a guild you might have command, or if you are in any way connected to the then yeah, you would you would probably have that. But if you're not, then you don't, and you wouldn't. Yelling at your brother doesn't require a skill.
I mean, I'm counting that one under scrap.
Fair. But yeah, once you have your character stuff finished out, I mean, we're pretty much done.
Kevin,
Then-
did you see the starting builds for your possible, like, for the type of muscle you want to be on 75?
Okay, oh, thanks for telling me that. I'll check that out.
So, like, it basically like gives you some things to think about depending on like if you want to be like an action hero or a gladiator or whatever.
John, also vices.
Oh right, thank you.
I chose faith as my vice.
I went with gambling.
Arf.
So, actually, above that, so choose a close friend and a rival.
Yeah, I did that too.
All right. So
I think I did that. I need.
I have a former teacher as a friend and a fellow mystic as a rival, and so in my like mind, he'll be the one that framed me for murder. Who was like in the
so you're kind of an Obi-Wan.
yeah, and I was also right. But you
Well-
said that like in that Samurai Champloo, one of the characters,
Jin.
former-
Yeah.
he's betrayed by someone from the the dojo or whatever.
Yeah. Well, so let me explain that story real quick, and you can tell me if you think it fits. So he was being taught the art of the sword by a master, and it was a very rare technique and style of swordplay. And basically, it was grander than like the highest of samurai in that series. So he is taught a number of different kind of techniques, and then his master is told to attempt to kill him by the shogunate. And so he sneaks into Jin's bedroom in the middle of the night. His master does, and tries to kill him. Jin wins the fight.
Oh wow.
And then his master's kind of like, you know, it's not, there's no emotion here. It wasn't like he knew he had to do it because it's samurai tradition, and then he was dying, right? And so Jin understands that, but also is kind of like, you know, snaps because of you're like my teacher here. And so Jin just starts wandering the world and starts being a badass samurai, right? Meanwhile, the shogunate still wants him dead, and when they find out that he's alive later on, one of them comes to try and kill him. And the last episode, he uses a technique that his master taught him, which basically let the person who's fighting you hit you, and during that moment of victory, they will have an opening, and that is when you kill them. And so Jin, yeah, it's great.
So yeah, I did that. That kind of works, except not the master, but I would say another student. Like
rival.
I'm thinking like Doctor Strange and Baron Mordo, you know, training under the Ancient One, you know, and so he's like another star student who kind of dicks over the.
Well, are you wanting to be kind of removed from that kind of faction, or are you wanting to still have like
Yeah.
connection? Okay.
You know, so like, if he were like falsely accused of murder or something like that, he might have been like expelled, or you know, so that's the hook that gets him in with the less than savory crowd that's doing this stuff now.
So situation could be something like you were, you know, not well liked because of your, you know, like prodigal kind of stature, right? And another individual who was a rival of yours, and another individual who was a rival of yours, were openly kind of, you know, attempting to kind of dethrone you as the teacher's pet or what have you, ended up combating with one another. But the whole like conflict between those two was a ruse that was implemented by the more powerful of the two rivals, the one that survives this engagement. You arrived at that scene, and when you attempted to stop the fight and like break it, he made it so that you killed the weaker of the two rivals, and that was seen by at least a couple of other individuals. you know in your mind that you were basically put into that station or that status, but to everyone seeing on the outside, they saw you kill that person, even though you were effectively forced to in that way.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I like that.
So then your master, who needs to be a friend, right? Because that's what you wrote.
A former teacher.
So that's your friend that you have listed. Okay. He is put to task and basically has to determine your fate. And he's given two options. He kills you himself, or he exiles you from the cult and has to leave himself. And so he left, but he did not want to be, like he did not want to connect with you. Like you were forced to leave one way and he kind of left another. So he's out there and you've connected with him in some way, but you're not like riding together. He's not still teaching you.
I like it.
Okay. Cool. I'll come up with
Alright.
a character's name and some ideas on that. And then your enemy is that rival who has graduated from whatever crazy cult that you were a part of.
And now he leads the cult.
He's now basically the oh god, why can't I think of the name? The Kylo Ren.
The personality?
The cult person, the Kylo Ren to your
And he would like to see me gone just because it would take any possible blame off of him.
No, just so much that he can, because again he was your rival, and so he's knocked you out, but he hasn't personally defeated you, and so that's still a goal in his mind, and in your mind too. You'd like to be able to best him in single combat as well.
Yeah, I'm gonna be a combat dude. Combat.
Sounds like we got a couple.
Yeah.
Well,
All right.
The way I think of it, Kevin, is you're more of a overall kind of like everything kind of specialist, guns, fisticuffs, swords, what have you, whereas he's kind of specialized in whatever like martial art he's kind of in. And magic.
Right. So he doesn't have the biggest side blade. It's more like a kinetic, so he can move really fast, or he can throw stuff.
Right.
So,
Yeah. I'm not sure what build I'm gonna go for yet, but I was thinking of kind of like a Chewbacca type character who's pretty big. Not really. He's not like a Luke Skywalker who's real, quick and agile. He's more of like big, so he could do like some big hits with things, or maybe shots with a big laser gun or something. Big hits with his fists.
I can see some cool partnerships with you throw me somewhere.
Also,
Special.
So John, for friends and rivals, for rival, I went with what I think was the obvious thing. Since I have a syndicate background, I figured I left them on bad terms. Gang boss.
Okay. And I will be. Hold on, I have.
And I was also figuring that plays on 2 levels, because obviously ill will because I left the syndicate, but also I have the vice of gambling, so I also figure part of it too is part of why I left was because I had a huge debt to the guild or to the syndicate also.
Gotcha.
So I owe them a large sum of money, as well as kind of like ditching with probably a couple of things when me and my brother left the planet.
Okay. A pretty popular gang. So let me explain real quick kind of how gang culture works in Parias and kind of outside of it. So you've got pirates, which are the main kind of thrust of external banditry, and you've already kind of affiliated yourself in good terms with one such group. But there are groups that focus on planet side kind of control as well. The main planet where this is a huge issue is Parias. Now, I have explained Parias a little bit, and I want to kind of get into depth, and if you're familiar with some of the lore of other kind of settings, this might help. If you're familiar with Necromunda, that's a great start. If not, I will explain. So the cities of Parias are massive. They have built this one planet over every other planet in the system, in the sector even, because there really isn't much other locations for them to actually build up anything of substance or matter. Every other place is either kind of space colonies built on dead rocks, or very limited kind of terraforming with harsh climates surrounding very nearly inhospitable kind of terrain where they live. But Parias started off perfect. It has since been ruined from that because of over-industrialization and population. The seas are polluted, and filtering is required to get any matter of water from them. The buildings go up into the sky beyond the clouds and descend even deeper into the earth towards its core. A lot of these gangs dwell in the underneath, but from the sounds of it, it sounds like the gangs that you would be kind of jacking with because you're in a ship, your ship focus would be more kind of closer to the surface and in the high towers. With that being said, I would say that, and I know you're all going to laugh at me when I say it, but the group that you probably would be closely affiliated with would be the Fellhoods, which is a gang that focuses on the higher sky kind of areas of Horizon. And I will get you more information regarding them, and I will make up a rival for you. The gang boss of said gang. Oh, I already have him. Chiffre Blackhand. Hold on.
Chiffre Blackhand.
Yeah. Yep.
And you just stole your own gang from D&D.
Yeah.
And put it in here.
Sometimes you got to be unoriginal and a hack.
Yeah, no, it's fun. I find it funny.
When you got a good idea, use it more than once. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So anyway, also I had friend being Choss, who was a professional racer. I figured I could either meet him through piloting or through gambling. I wasn't sure which one.
I'd say or you said he's a race?
It could be both, honestly, because again, I pilot and I gamble.
You said he's a racer?
He's a racer, professional racer.
So that could be why you're in bad terms with the Felheads. So there's probably a lot of, what would be called tower races. And basically the point of a tower race is to basically descend into, like, the core, following the kind of pipes and tunnels inside of these massive towers and arcologies that are kind of built up and around the planet. So it could be the case that you and him work together, piloting terrestrial crafts. And yeah, the reason why you're not on good terms with Mr. Blackhand is probably because you left and you lost a lot.
Yeah.
Or you won and I don't know.
I lost a lot. I was figuring the lost a lot. Like I had a debt is kind of one of the key reasons I was thinking I probably bailed.
Yeah, there's definitely a number of ships that your brother, while he was kind of focused on his guild activities, even with his training, wouldn't have been able to put back together after you did what you did to them. Yeah, wrap them around, like...
Well, I'd like to say, specifically, I took a special ability called Exceed Specs, which is, while on board a ship, you may damage a system you have access to in order to gain +1 dice or +1 effect to a roll. And I specifically did that because Tim's playing a mechanic who's my brother, and I'm just figuring, he'll be able to fix whatever shit I break.
You push it to the limit. I love it. So that works perfect with that then. Great. And we've got Andy and we've got Matt. Zach, have you put any thought into your rival/friend?
So, my thought is, like, I was born into this guild. All I've known is this guild. I've been, like, a workaholic from kind of my conception to where I, like, get this idea to break off and escape with this crew. So, for a vice, my thought was pleasure. And my friend would be a drug dealer.
Okay.
And, like, not just for recreational purposes, but also it's like someone who I had previously had some sort of connection with, who, like, I, like, knew from the roles inside
Sure.
of the guild.
So it would have been somebody inside of the Yaru who would have been specialized in
Exactly.
like kind of not so much pain medication, but like anxiety slash like depression and kind of medications that augment or not
Sort
augment.
of a wide variety of pharmaceuticals, not just
Yeah, I guess in this kind of instance, we're not talking about pharmaceuticals that just kind of. We're not talking about mind-altering medications here. We're
Right.
talking about medications that help you level out, like, and be normal, because you've seen some shit, as we discussed. Okay, that I like that.
For a rival, my thought was a former patient whose DNA I had extracted and used to clone a lot of different, like, muscles for the Yaru.
So we're looking at somebody who would be kind of possibly independent, maybe like a Scum and Villainy style, kind of like solo.
Right. A muscle in their own right.
Right.
Who
Basically,
I used to just create.
if Jango Fett wasn't consenting.
Yes, exactly that sort of a thing.
Okay.
Like the rival. Well, it's not like an intellectual rival, but someone who
Wants
I
to
had
kill
loved
you.
because they know that I stole their DNA, and then the Yaru has that on file now. Like, it's done and over with. Their argument isn't with them anymore. It's with me because they know I'm the one that extracted it from them.
I dig it. I'm just gonna go ahead and take Andy's girlfriend from Cyberpunk and just bring her in.
That is like a perfect idea.
Hello, Zach.
Like,
We can't escape.
that's kind of where my thought was. Like,
Okay.
it's not an intellectual rival.
It
it's
is
not
someone
like
who
a
wants to
doctor,
murder
it's
you.
Someone who like is angry that I stole their DNA composition and then, like, gave it to the Yaru to like mass produce them on a crazy scale.
I'm going to say that in your mind, you do know that they are kind of after you, and they kind of gave you kind of a catchy action one-liner that makes you think that they're like like gonna do it when they next see you, kind of deal, like an "I'll be back"
it's
or
the
something.
one day I will find you.
Yeah.
And I will get you.
That
He's
deal.
basically
When I
your
get
Zod.
You will regret this.
I will say this: in my mind, I think it will go differently than you imagine, but in your mind, character-wise, they want you dead.
Okay, so I just like to point out, we have the Fell Hoods right now. We have Andy's girlfriend from Cyberpunk. We need to bring something in from Cthulhu, guys.
So I wasn't going
Can
to
we
tell
get a
you.
little?
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, can we get a little cat?
No,
Get a cat addiction.
I was gonna say my guy. I kind of think of his name. Oh my god, he's the coolest guy.
How much in tune does your character have, Andy?
A tune? Yeah, so the starting build is 2.
Okay, because I was thinking about possibly taking something with that, but only like 1 point in it, maybe.
Did either of you take a point in Helm? Because
Nope. I was thinking about it.
yeah,
Nope.
if
I'm
you
pretty
don't,
specialized.
Kevin, let me know.
I
Well,
was thinking about going for the action hero, like subclass, not subclass, but like build, and it has like 1 in rig, 1 in helm, and 2 in scramble. But I was going to take 1 in scramble and 1 in a tune, because I thought it'd be cool to kind of have a sense of the force, but not really like
Yeah.
big person.
gotcha.
Kind of like a sense stuff. It's my animal sense.
Well,
Yeah, I like
Basically, my point is, like, someone other than Matt should have a tune so we can pilot the shuttle.
Not a tune, have helm.
Or Helm, rather. Thank you.
I want to have something in helm so I can pilot the shows.
that. Seems like something the
Yes.
mechanics could do.
yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, we can also figure out some of this too, like over Discord if we want to figure it out, because it could be Dan could get something in Helm, it could be Tim get something in Helm. I mean, it would make sense for Tim to have like something in Helm too, just through family stuff he might have picked it up, but
Yeah,
could also be Dan's character has some Helm too.
it wouldn't really hurt us to even if everybody had helm, because it's good to like you can shoot weapons from the ship and stuff like that. Like if you get like like you could do like the Millennium Falcon type thing where you're flying around and everybody's shooting weapons out of it.
Last thing is Vice. It sounded like we had one for Zach, and basically your Vice is, medication. Basically medicating pleasure, rather.
I've never been able to enjoy life before getting on this ship, and whether that's going,
okay,
whether that's like taking a drug, whether that's in having a sex life. Like my idea is like pleasure is his vice, and he's never had the freedom to indulge himself before. Because
the friend is the reason why you're friends with him is because that's what you used prior, and now that you're beyond that, beyond the Yaru, you're focusing more on what can you do.
Yeah, it's expanding horizons in the broadest of terms.
Got it.
Seeking pleasure for pleasure's sake, whether that's a luxurious meal, for example, or like staying on a bed that has 1,000 thread count. You know what I mean? That's super soft and just like I've always worked my whole existence as a clone for the Yaru.
Yeah, watching the Two Moons, from a nice tower in Parias.
Playing a goddamn video game for a night. You know what I mean? Like
fun shit.
Like pleasure is the vice that my character indulges in because I've only known work.
Did you pick one, Andy?
Pick one what?
You said you'd pick the vice?
Yeah, faith.
Okay. Great.
So I was thinking that obviously, like, he's connected back to the former, temple or wherever he trained. And
the cult of the, hold on.
What page are those on, Andy?
The cult of the Pen Ice.
Sure. Why not?
What page are the advices on, guys? It's on the Miami page.
Church of the Stellar Flame.
I think it's in the sheet. Hold on.
Well,
page
it's also
60. Page 60 is where you get your small description.
Yeah, I need to find a description.
Yeah, also, John, with mine with gambling too, I was thinking like there's obviously the gambling in terms of money gambling, but I was also thinking of expanding that just to like also gambling in terms of being willing to take excessive risks.
Okay.
Like more of the gambling in terms of like gambling with your life to a certain degree.
Sure.
Those two asteroids look like they're gonna collide. I can slip that ship in between.
Right, pretty much. Like
gap.
gambling like both money-wise and also just taking extreme chances that might be unnecessary.
Sure. So like, if you were wanting to take a risk, like a racing, I mean, that could be considered a vice. Yeah, I get it. That makes sense. Not just sitting down and playing. I was gonna say the one from Star Wars, but now I'm gonna say the one from Star Trek, Domjot, or something. Play Domjot, human.
Yeah, play Domjot, but also like that could also lead into some with the like pilot friend that I have.
Works for me. Okay. Kevin, did you have advice?
I think I'm gonna do my vice as obligation, and it's gonna be basically I think one of the crew members is gonna save my life. Probably not one of the twins, but one of the other characters. And then that's why I'm kind of hanging out on. I'm thinking if it's a crew member, I hang out on the ship because I'm like hanging out with them.
I don't mean to keep putting the olds together, but I think Andy probably fits the most for the person who probably saved you.
Do you want to say Andy or Dan's character, whatever that is?
Yeah, whatever Dan's character.
Right. That'll probably make the most sense. So.
Yeah, because again, it definitely wasn't Zach. he just boarded the ship.
Especially if you have one tune, that might be like the thing that prompted that.
a war.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking it was something that maybe my race naturally is kind of like more attuned to the universe. I was thinking more like kind of like insect, not incest, but like instincts, like your instincts, you know.
So
Yeah.
I just had a thought too. Zach could be the guy. So the reason why he was escaping from the Yaru was because they were going to rip you apart and tear you into clonable material for just pointless muscle. And he not only pulled the med lab out, you were in the med lab when he pulled you out. And you're basically one of like maybe 100 or so remainders of your race.
I like that.
That's a
cool.
thought too. If Zach wants to be the guy.
I'm okay with it. Like, I'm looking for a reason to break away from the Yaru, so if that adds to it and Kevin is on board, so am I.
Yeah, I like that idea.
It
It kind
could-
of makes sense. Like maybe he wanted somebody to kind of help him escape, and so he grabbed me because I was
Well-
big and scary.
Well, it could
you know.
also lead into his rival in terms of paying, like him feeling like he's paying for past sins. Like maybe he feels bad about whatever he did to
Or
that
maybe
guy.
the-
so.
Even as simple as like Kevin's race doesn't respond to, you know, sedatives the same way that other races do, and he looks at me and is just like, please don't, and it's like, oh fuck, all right,
Yeah.
like, I have a conscience for the first time, and it's like I can't just cut this thing into pieces and harvest its DNA, and then
This is
that's
your
where
last
I, like,
resort.
yeah, it's like, oh, this is a real living conscious being.
That no one caught what I was doing there. Second time no one's caught what I was doing, but I'm okay with it. Cut him
okay.
into pieces. This is your the one
Hey,
earlier.
how do you change the device on your character sheet? Because mine's like a gold device it says on it.
What did it say?
You could just have to type it into the spot below. That's what I did. I didn't
Oh.
find any place for it. And it's the same thing with heritage and background. There doesn't seem to be a place to mark it, so I just typed it in the space below.
Okay. Well, I think that's basically it. What I would like for you all to do is, I think most of you have taken notes. I would like you to, if you typed those up, go ahead and just post everything that you currently have available on your character note-wise into our side chats, okay? And Tim, if you ever watch this, that goes for you too. Just all of the notes that you have available, okay? If you have questions, or not questions, but blanks that you need filled out, just kind of put like a insert name here, or I don't have a name for this. Can you help me with this, John? And this is what it is. This is what I need, and I'll go ahead and spitball with you in the side Discord before we play our first session. And yeah, I think that's where we're gonna end tonight. I'm gonna go ahead and kill the stream. Thanks for watching those that did, and thanks for the suggestions. Mainly for the Hunter's Mark. I think that was the only. That was the really.
I am a clone now.
Oh, you're a clone?
That's kind of what I was thinking.
Okay, well then that's it. But yeah, well then that was Joshua, right? Wombat, is that his name?
Wombat.
I'm bad with names.
Wombat of Doom.
Yeah, it's his real name. His real name. I know his real name, but I don't know
I
his
know
real
his
name.
real name too.
I'm not gonna say it.
Nah,
so.
we're calling him Wombat.
Get down from there. Okay, well we're gonna go ahead and kill the stream. Thanks for watching. We'll pick up with our very first Java and stuff next time. Thanks.